What's going on, YouTube? I haven't had a video in a while because there's just been a lot going on and it's been hard to express it. And so here I am, and it's been a minute, as they say, which I think is a stupid expression, but since I've actually spoken to the phone to tell them how I'm feeling, and I got caught up telling a friend on text message and my mom and I have a confession. The reason I haven't been making as many videos is because I've been overwhelmed with feelings, and I've been trying to communicate with her to find some sort of, as I say, answers or energy, which comes down to, I think, the aim of any question and direction is always, well, what can we solve, dissolve, resolve, or evolve? And each question and answer will direct the next of those things, like whatever the example may be. It will dictate the next one. Is there a solution? Can we solve this? Can we dissolve this? Can we resolve this? Should we evolve this? It's like it all kind of comes into focus with each question from the next. So I've been kind of on that path, knowing things I've learned, that she's an avoidant attachment personality with narcissistic tendencies. And I didn't know those things about her ever. And she presents as very bubbly and fun and full of energy and lifelike and animated and loving and playful, and is also hiding her true feelings underneath that. And that's just a beautiful presentation. And so I was fooled by that, and I believe that is real, but also hiding how she feels. And if they don't investigate the right questions, she's afraid to bring them out, which I just didn't know that about her. It makes sense when I look at her upbringing and her family being of secret spies who have no room for emotional expression. And when I met her family, I was excited because I'm like, oh man, this is a good clue. A partner who has a healthy family dynamic, 2 parents and a brother, like a family dynamic, and they're still together and alive, and no one's divorced or anything like this, and they're all living in the same house together, and you're 28 years old, like, and you're going to med school. This is a great dynamic. But then when I met them, they were robots. How are you? Thank you for coming to dinner. Can I get you a glass of water? Like, they were so emotionally unavailable. They were really like, hi. Like, it was almost like, and that was a smile, like, what's that? That's what robots do. Smile. Just like bare your teeth. It was like really, I'm not being mean, I'm actually being honest. Me and my partner joked about her family being robots for a very long time. Emotionally kind of like severed and controlled. And so I didn't know about this attachment personality thing people have. I didn't know that was a thing. And it makes sense that she was the bubbly wild one, but not allowed to do that around her family. Remember when she came to see my family, she's wearing a bikini or something like that, and she's like, can I wear this around your family at the beach or the lake? Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. My parents would never allow me to wear this. They'd say, please put something on. Please put something on. You know? And so I'd say, no, they don't. They love it. It's fine. My family is big on emotion, expression. And so, like I said in the last video, I think I said somewhere a couple days ago that I found out my partner is dismissive avoidant, fearful avoidant, some narcissistic tendencies, and I'm anxious attachment because I like to get love and get attention and give attention. And in the middle of 5 kids, I might have missed out a little bit after the first 2 came, and then like, no, time for you for a little bit, not enough time now, 2 more came. So you can see how I might have not received enough attention with all those kids around, and got the high emotions and then the heavy emotions, high and heavy, heavy and high, heavy and high, flipping back and forth. Good, you're bad, you're good, you're bad. We love you, we're mad at you. It's like this strong arm loving relationship that people, parents, do the best they can. But they stayed together for 55 years and they're still together, so my parents obviously have a good dynamic. I feel like I was raised in the 1950s because I based my relationships on them, like loving, caring, compassion, understanding, sharing, having hard times and working through it. Things like you would expose your weakness, like at the office, there's the problem at the office, or, like, can you look at my back? There's something, or like something gross, like, I don't know, you trust someone on something like that, like, So I base my relationship on that fundamental, and I'm from a city that's in the middle of nowhere, small town, so it's almost like I'm even 20 years older than that, because we're so far behind the times. It's like I'm a really old school type guy, and I'm having a hard time with this issue with my ex-partner, because I just honestly wish, as you all know, I wish she wasn't my ex. I don't like calling her my ex. I don't feel that's the right word. I do that for the people in the audience because everybody wants to call her that. I've only done that in typing and in speaking, but it's not really how I feel. I still feel like she's my life partner and the best person I've ever known. And she has some serious fundamental flaws in her character upbringing that she's not willing to investigate. She's not willing to look into her roots. Instead, 8 weeks ago when she ran out of here, we're having a beautiful date, and suddenly, it's not going so right. Something's wrong. There's a little tiny wrinkle. She's making it seem about something small, and I'm like, if we're going to scratch on this wrinkle, then let's dig below the surface and say, why did you lie to me for the past many months, many months, maybe even longer than that, maybe even many years? I didn't. And when we found out that you did lie because your lies were making no sense, and I asked for proof that you could not provide, then I said, I'll forgive you and I won't get mad, and I promise I just want to hear the truth. And you admitted to lying, and then a minute later your bag was packed and you ran out the door and you never came back. And the last thing you said was me from 5 years ago. It's like, suddenly it's me from 5 years ago. You never said that before. You never said that for 5 years. Suddenly you admitted to lying, and within a few minutes you managed to shift blame to me for my behavior from 5 years ago during a pandemic. I can take accountability for that, and since that time, for many years, have corrected that fearful, emotional lack of being cool. I've corrected that behavior, fixed those things, and constantly worked to make myself better and be more caring, kind, loving, compassionate, understanding partner. Also, I have my own anxious attachments, meaning I need to be seen or heard and loved and received. And I was forgetting that I can get love by giving it. I can be heard by listening. Like I was forgetting some of those like classic wisdoms. And so there were times when I might have been too wanting or needing or requiring. Also mixed with the fact that she was more and more avoidant, more and more distant. I have too much school, I can't this weekend, I can't. And we'd go like sometimes weeks, and one time this past year, 5 weeks without seeing each other. Like 2 months she didn't stay here. But before that was like, next weekend and the weekend after. It's like kept delaying me, and then we'd only have a few hours, a Friday night and a Saturday, or just a Monday for 2 hours. Like it would be like less and less, and she turned me down so often in our connection time. And so I would then also feel like I'm not getting what I need, which is at least intimacy or conversation and connection. And so I really struggled with this. And then she would put the blame on me. You needed too much. I was like, it was just 2 hours, and that's not enough. Feeling like, no, 2-3 hour date where I have not seen you all week, and we meet up for that short of time, and we spend time talking about what was, what was the goals I scored this week? Well, I played a good play here and I almost scored there and I did this and did that. Okay, and what's up for next week? Well, there's this and there's that and there's that and the other. And then there's very little room for us to play a game right now. Like, what is now? That was past. This is what's coming. This is now. And there'd be little room for it. And we both have to share what we were and what we are, what we're hoping we had and what we will be. And it's just like too much. It's too much in a short time. And she's like, that's not good enough, not enough quantity time for you. I was like, it's not enough quality time for me and or quantity. We need quality and we need quantity. At least if you can't have quantity, then make it quality. And if we're talking about what was and what will be, then we're not talking about right now. And then we're really not living in right now. We're living in past and future states right now. And we're not really being present for each other. So yeah, if you can't have quantity, which you couldn't, then make the quality good, which is, I don't care about what happened last week. And I don't care about what you're doing next week. I do care about both. But right now I care about just saying, how are you now? And what can we do now? Make this food, dance, make this love, make this romance, whatever it is to be present. And that's hard to find when you want to first get up to speed and what you need and where you were and what you want to do. And then what we got left is this tiny window. It just became so difficult. And so now I regret so many things of how I maybe could have been more. And honestly, I thought I was doing those things. I really was doing like everything to hear her and make her be seen and loved. But in the end, I know that she's avoidant detachment, and she's not wanting to, well, she's doing exactly what avoidant attachment does, which is I'll be self-reliant, self-dependent, and I'll go self-soothe. And in the quiet solitude of my bedroom, when I'm done school and have time for this, then I'll address my inner reflections by reflecting inward on things and avoiding the reality and avoiding the truth and avoiding the emotions that I'm afraid of. And instead, make a long list of things that I did wrong and blame me for all the things I did wrong. And then once she's done avoiding me long enough, and when it fits into her school schedule, then there'll be time for me in this window over here in many weeks from now where she'll say, you did. And I'll say, valid. I'm sorry you experienced that. And if I correct why those cause and causations happened, if I say, I'm sorry you went through that, that's not how I wanted you to feel. My intentions were good, but my preventative methods were not. And if I say the cause and causations for why I was in those conditions, then it's not me taking away from your experience. It's me only explaining to where my reasoning and emotional state was at. And in my fragile emotional state, I thank you for being there and not avoiding it and being supportive of that. However, there is more to uncover than avoiding reality and blaming me and me taking that, because I'll take it and I'm sorry you went through it. But there's more deeper layers of trauma, which is a stupid thing, but reality of why we are the way we are. And these are built in fundamental years of who you are. And that's usually before 3 years old and confirmed continually. And you have to address the fact that your parents were secret spies and not there for you. And they let you be independent, self-reliant, and self-soothing. And you know that. And so to shift it all to 5 years ago and forgetting the first 29 years of your life as the reasons is not really digging deep enough and avoiding, again, as your character would, the emotional depth you need to go in. And the fact that you're bringing this up now, a year after your dad died, and dumping it on me, you were never listening to me, you were never there for me, this is transference of your father's trauma on me. And you're not going to address that either. The fact that you tell me you're so depressed now is my fault, not the fact that your dad died last year, not the fact that you're in 4th year med school, not all the stress you're taking on, and not the fact that you've been lying, and strongly lying means you've been having an affair. And you're saying, no, I just lied, but no affair. There'd be no reason to lie if you didn't have an affair. There'd be no reason. The lies have no founding for need unless they're covering something up, and you're still not willing to admit to those things. Now you're lying about lies. and you're avoiding that. And now I'm waiting, I'm waiting for some message to come through. And I've messaged you, and a newsflash, we met up. So there's the big thing. I'll come back to that. But right now I'm waiting for another response from you when it's good for you. We had a meetup on the other day, and then we talked about these avoidant attachment things. And at the end, it ended with I'll talk about that in a minute, but it ended with her leaving and saying, send me links to these, psychological things that we may have or hold or share or be, and I'll investigate them as well. Okay. So I then fast forward after we met, sent some of these links, and then a couple text messages trying to communicate. And okay, so fine, here's what happened. We met up on the weekend. I told her, like I said in my message there, that you have 1 week to respond to me and I'm gone forever. And then she responded with this shit list of things that's wrong with me. And then I responded with a bunch of conversations. And then I was apologetic and trying to understand and learn, and also trying to figure out some boundaries. And then I left it okay, well, I'm tired of being on red, waiting to hear from you. Oh, you're online. It says you're online, but you're leaving me not answered. It's just a form of abuse. Because 6 years we've been together and you could respond right away, and now you suddenly can't respond for days and days. That's so unfair. It's a form of abuse. And so I'm waiting for truth and answers, and I'm trying to reconcile, resolve, dissolve, such and such, right? Find a way to figure out what part of me needs to break and leave, and what part of her needs to go and live, and to what degree can we both heal independently, dependently, and blah, 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 blah. As opposed to just everyone says, run away. I'm still a broken person, and I still want to know why is she broken, and I need to understand some answers. Resolve, solve, dissolve, evolve, depending on what we're talking about. And it's a flexible thing. So here we are. I say Saturday, 4:00, I'll be at this Starbucks for 2 hours, waiting, reading, and if you decide to show up, that's good. This is my window of closing. And then she didn't respond for fucking hours and hours and hours and hours, and then left me on cold, and then wasn't sure, and I said, forget it, don't worry about it. My next message was clear, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. See ya around, good luck, goodbye. And then I wasn't sure if she's gonna read that, because what message, now it's kind of lost in translation. So I was fuck's sakes. She sent me messages in the morning, and then left me cold all day, and left me at nighttime, left me cold all day. So it was this broken telephone, so fucking broken. And I wasn't sure which part she got. So then at 3:30, I was like, for fuck's sakes, I better be there. Because if she shows up and I'm not there, then it's just I'm across town at the gym or something. It's going to be real bad. So I showed up on purpose to make sure that I stood by my word, even though my word then said, forget it. And I'm sitting there forever, an hour, and then she says, are you still at Starbucks? I was like, oh, what the fuck? I told you no, I wasn't going to be here in my last 5 messages. And then I am still here just in case. And the just in case came through. And I said, yep. And then long story shorter, she fucking showed up. And we sat opposite each other for 3 hours and talked. And it was a tough conversation. I tried to keep it light. It was hard. It wasn't very light, it wasn't very heavy, but it wasn't very great, and it wasn't very bad. It was shit sandwich. And I asked how she's doing, and she gave me fluff answers. And I asked what you've been up to, and there's fluff answers. I said, what have you been doing the last 8 weeks? And it was I've been doing lots of inner reflection. I was inner reflection? That's not going to be enough effort to dig deep enough here, but okay. And then I said, it's good to start from now and then the past 8 weeks, and then from there digging back in timeline and not having just a snapshot of time. Just here, you did that, this, the other, this, that, oh, and this thing, and over there, out of order. I said, it's good to have life in order. We are here, we're going back 8 weeks, then we go back as far as we can remember. It starts to get foggy, then go back to the beginning and remember how we became together. So I discussed the timeline of our life using my examples. And after I said this for a couple minutes, perhaps it was a bit too long-winded, she's like, here you are, talking about you again. And I was like, okay. I was just trying to establish continuity. And then we tried to learn, and she was very repressed in speaking her words. It was almost like she had peanut butter in her mouth, like speaking really quietly and couldn't get it out. It's like, it's not helping that you're repressing yourself even further. I'm trying to have a conversation, and it left with mostly her wanting to blame me for all my problems from 5 years ago. Not in context of what I just said, cause and causation and losing careers and going through the fears of pandemic and how will this person now, how will the concerns I had and raised with her, thinking she was a strong partner, and you should be able to tell your partner the concerns. Like, the example before, my parents were married 55 years. I remember being a kid and my dad came home from the office and tell my mom the problems at the office, and then that she'd listen and they'd work through it. You know, I always thought it was just like that. This is my strong partner. I've never complained about our relationship. I love them. My concerns and worries are with outside the world. Of course, that makes me look weak. I recognize that by showing someone you care about your weakness. I didn't think they'd use it against me. And in that understanding, I was over commanding and emotionally uncool, and it caused her all this scars and trauma, and she's refusing to dig any deeper. Okay. And it was left like pretty obvious. I'm trying to find some resolutions and solutions, and it's pretty obvious that she's still unavailable to even have a conversation, it seems, even though she showed up. And she says she loved and missed me, but she's unable to like really confess anything to me, and I don't listen and I don't hear her. And I was like, I want to hear you. I want to understand how you feel. I've been sitting here for 3 hours trying to communicate with you, and 6 years trying to communicate with you. You're repressed. It doesn't help. And everything then is an attack, and everything is then being defensive, and there's some sort of victim bullshit, and it's so nauseating. It's like, I really am trying to learn from all these different sources on how to become a validating and caring and a person that will like doesn't make them feel like any of these I'm being defensive. I'm just discussing my character, in my opinion. So it's like, and then if I do that, it undervalidates her feelings or something. It's so complicated. It shouldn't be this hard to communicate with people. It should be simple. You know, don't read into every little thing as if like because someone feels something doesn't mean the other person can't feel something else. Or it's just, and I think if someone feels a certain way, like, here's my example. Subject A guy kills a guy. And everyone's like, whoa, what the fuck? Why do you do that? You're like, he just did. He just did? That's the answer? There's no other reason? No, he just did. What if you find out that the guy that killed the guy that died previously killed the other guy's family and burned his house down? Oh, now there's a reason. Now we know why he acted crazy, because the other guy did something crazier beforehand. You see, now it's context. Now it's cause and conditions, which make us have emotional actions or reactions. It wasn't just out of the blue, stone cold, nobody murder. It was the guy who previously murdered his family. You're like, whoa. So now it's like pain, revenge, loss, and all those things. Now we can see why. But if we don't dig further back and look at the bigger picture, then we're never going to know like why people act the way that they did and what caused that me to be those things you didn't like 5 years ago. And then also what's caused me to be those improvements since then. And also, let's just ignore all the fucking things that were great about us and not talk about those things, which outweighed that magnificently, because this would have broken us up a long time ago. The first exposure of it. Oh, stressful time. I'm out because you're offering me nothing good. So there's obviously lots of good stuff. We're ignoring that, and we're putting this microscope on one little thing. This is the bad thing, and forget the rest. You're like, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on right now. What about all this? So I find that really hard, and I'm struggling with it. And here we are now. We had this meeting, and then at the end of it, I was hoping to like continue. It was stressful, obviously, it wasn't great. I was hoping to like open up the dialogue. I'm trying to just open up the dialogue, okay, to figure out what's wrong with me and her and us and together, and whether we're never going to be or what we're going to be, partly, separately, independently. Obviously, breaking is not making much work because she's so hard to communicate with. to get communication out of. So when it ended, she stood up and says, how about a hug? And I said, I don't think that's a good idea. And I wanted to, obviously, but I tried to keep the distance to like make it. And at one point I said, like, I can't wait forever for these answers. She goes, oh, I don't want you to wait. I was like, kind of hurt by that. You don't want me to wait at all? A little bit? Like, you could say 3 weeks and 2 months, and whatever it is, you don't care that I suggested I should go out there and date other people. You seem to think that you're okay with that, which is a huge red flag concern for me, that you're fine with that. You want me to go out there and you don't want to wait for me. You don't want me to wait even another week or two to see what we can talk about. I'm not going to wait forever. That's fine. I want you to be happy and live your life. You're like, oh, that's fucked up that you would, because I don't want you to go out there and be with other people, but you think you're fine with that with me. That says everything, but we haven't said everything. So, and I haven't heard everything I need to hear. So, okay, we'll play this little fucking cat and mouse game for a bit longer. And that's where we're at, playing cat and mouse. And I'm leaving the cheese out, and she's choosing to like see it online and then not open it. Like, oh, I see it there, but I'm not going to do that. And then I wanted to validate her feelings, so I happened to message her some of the videos about therapy and online coaching and such to learn about our attachments and detachments. And then I basically said, I care for you and us, and I would repair it if these conditions were met. Meaning, like, if you can prove you didn't lie, if you can prove you didn't cheat. I don't think she can, by the way. But if you can prove your story over mine, and if you can I'll validate all your feelings, I'll take all responsibility, and I'll do the things needed, but I have these boundaries that I don't think are being met, but I want you to know, I wish it wasn't so, and we could be so great together given these fundamentals are met. And she didn't really respond to that at all. Just left me on kind of cold, open, but not received. I said, don't need to reply to this. I did offer that. I said, don't need to reply to this because it's a lot, but think about it. And then she said, I called, I said, could you call for a minute? So she actually called me. We talked for like a couple minutes, 20 minutes or something. I just wanted to distill the following things. How was your day? Hope you have a nice day tomorrow. Good luck this week. I don't want you to feel stressed out at school thinking about this and all the stuff that's making you not be good. So try and wake up and be happy and go about your day and do it in a good way. And hopefully soon you can come to the table again and we can make something more not so stressful. And we've broken down the barrier now. We can dialogue more, and the dialogue might help us both understand each other and ourselves. And then we can do whatever decisions are best for that. So no, I'm an open book, and I'm an open door and an open window should you need to reach through it. And I also got my key back when she left, which is kind of like a fuck you. And then I said, hopefully there's room for dialogue. I think she's kind of said something like, maybe we should meet again sometime earlier on the visit, like implying that this isn't over. And she hasn't finished telling me why I'm the problem, is what she is wanting to say. Okay. And then I expressed that when you want to do that, and she's like, well, I have a hard time expressing my feelings. Maybe I should write it down for you, and then I can write it out for you and then read it to you. I was like, okay. And the fact that you need to write out your story about why you're so hurt and why this is all my fault kind of says that you can't speak it honestly and openly. You need to write a script for it. And if you need to write a script for it, it means it's scripted. And it's kind of fantasy meets fiction meets real world, to which version of that is like I'll agree to hearing you, and I'll validate that accountability, and I'll also not defend my actions, but prove that since then my actions have altered, and the cause and conditions for those actions do not excuse them, but they are also reasons for them. So, and I would love to then pivot into your cause and reasons and cause and conditions for your lying, and which looks like if you're lying, then you would be cheating. And if you don't need to lie if you don't cheat. So explain me that. she's not going to like that. I'm going to have to, I don't know, navigate that field very, very carefully. But I can't be disrespected and lied to and abandoned and left on such a hard discard like that. And especially when the issues she's talking about are so old, suddenly now they're the front of every fucking cover. It seems like it's she went away for 8 weeks. When she was here and she lied to me and she found out she lied, I said, these lies really put your entire school in jeopardy and your teacher all in jeopardy for being, kicked out and in trouble. She knew that. I said that. I shouldn't have said that, because then she ran the fuck out of here. And then she spent the next 8 weeks, I think, devising a narrative around building a lie that makes her feel like she can accept this and believe this and shift blame to me. And right now she's still hiding because she knows that if this gets out, then she might get kicked out of school or he might lose his job. And so she's afraid of that. So she's hiding, keeping distance, and building her narrative for the last 8 weeks and how many more before she can write it on the script and say, this is why we broke up and this is what you did to me. And this is all going to ignore the reasons, which is the lies in the emotional relationship and physical, I believe, relationship that she had with this other teacher that would really put them both in jeopardy. And the second that she learned that those things were happening and admitted that she was outed on those, that's when she ran away. And so those actions and those lies and those deceptions and those betrayals are far bigger than something from 5 years ago where I was stressed about the pandemic and losing my career. And that's where we're at. And she's going to write a script now and tell me all the things I did wrong. And if you're speaking from the heart and the truth, you don't need to write it down in advance. You can just say, this is what I went through. This is what I feel. This is where I'm at. And this is why that happened. And same with the other person. This is what we went through. And this is what you did to me and I did to us, and how we are because of the actions and courses and words that you said and did. Now, why and how are we here, and why and how will we proceed, in which direction? And the only way you can get that is by not a script, but speaking from your heart and your truth, even if it's hard to come out. Without it, there's nothing. And as an avoidant attachment, she's going to avoid that. She's going to stonewall stuff. And she said that I'm stonewalling. I'm like, you don't even know what that term is until you know the term, but you didn't know that's what your attachment style does. You build that stone up for yourself and say, no, I'm not going to tell. I'm going to not tell anybody. I'm going to Rapunzel myself in this tower to which I have the key to, and I'm not going to put down my hair. In the meantime, you're stonewalling me, Mark, when you hang up the phone or be emotionally mad or whatever it is, or walk out. I'm like, I haven't done those actions in many, many years. And those are actually on an anxious attachment person, that's actually called a protest. So it'd be like a day, an afternoon, an hour where I'd protest what I didn't get, what I wanted, because I was not being heard or seen or loved. Instead of saying, I'm stressed out right now and I'm vulnerable, and what I need from you is, what I need for myself is, instead I would do an emotional bad reaction, probably learn from my father, and leave or get mad or something stupid. And I fixed those behaviors. So my anxious attachment protests have been behaviors from the past, and my anxious attachment love is still not required or gotten, and I need to now give it to myself, to not need it from anybody else. And I know now that loving is listening and not speaking, and speaking is also listening and giving. If you want attention, give attention. If you want to give love, then if you want to get love, then give love. And I get love when I give someone a birthday gift. I feel good about it. So I realized that's what I need to do. So instead of sharing what I want to tell her, just listen. And as much as I have to quiet myself because I want to share my love by speaking it, instead I'll share my love by hearing it. And I'll be present for that. That's how I give the gift, And so that's what I've come to realize is my solutions. It's very hard to do because I feel like I'm still being silenced and not being able to express my authentic self. And then she gets mad that I'm defending and being a victim. I'm just like, I'm not really defending me. I'm just putting in context how I feel, in my opinion. So yours is, you're allowed to give how you feel in your opinion if I ask how do you feel and what's your opinion. But when I say, well, my opinion on feeling that is these things, that's now defending and playing victim. How can I be both the attacker, the defender, and the victim at the same time? You're attacking me, you're being defensive, and you're playing the victim. How can that be possible? Anyhow, I've gone on long enough. This video's too long, I'm sorry, but that's where I'm at. And we were supposed to maybe meet up again. I suggested something fun, like, do you want to go for like a nature hike, and along the way we can, be outside, and like it won't make us stand in the corner, like have the coffee, or we hold our breath. I thought if we move our body and we have to breathe more, then we'll release more, and then in the releasing we'll be able to find our voice and not have to hold it in. So I figured like a nature hike would be good, and healthy, and remembering fun. So I'm playing the game of remember fun, remember I'm a good person, I'm not the enemy, and remember whatever problems we have, regardless of them, I still want to understand them. And so let's go breathe it out in the trees, and then, bring a bit of food and some drinks and whatever, water. And then in that, maybe you can express how you're feeling and write down on paper if you need to. And I'll listen, and I'll make the point now to my audience. I will not bring up the lies and deception and betrayal that she did to me. I will make this next meeting only about her, and I will not share the betrayal she did to me. We'll save that for a later date. That's a smart move. And I've then curated about 100 cool questions to be like a kind of fun rapid fire game. She likes to be asked questions. I don't. I already confess it. If you don't have confession, you need questions. But for me, I can confess it without asking. So I've made up this like fun rapid fire game of like maybe there's 100 questions that are investigating and fun to be like, like what's two things you couldn't live without, and what do you love about yourself? What would you like to change about me? Like building fun exercises. Some are light, some are hard, and some are difficult, and some are playful. There's some great questions in there, and I'll get to them. I'll ask them on my channels in later videos, and you guys can play along. Till then, that's where it stands. She's leaving me on red right now. I sent this little picture I found in my diary here. I was reading my old diary, and I read some really good stuff in here. Like, man, like this is some really, really good stuff here. It says like, there's a couple little ones here. I found this one. I'll read it in one piece. Like, there's tons of it. I was like, holy moly, this is insane. It says, funny enough, it says this: to listen, stop talking; to hear, stop thinking; to do, stop trying; to live, stop dying; to laugh, stop crying; to love, stop lying; to win, stop losing; to succeed, stop greed; to succeed, seed, to succeed, to plant seed, to succeed, seed what you need. To succeed, seed what you need. Sorry, I couldn't get that last one out. Yeah, I got tons of also deeper thoughts too. Like, this is super, it goes on and on and on. But I'm just interested because I just happened to pull this old diary out today and look, and it's like, here I am in 2021. I got mad at the wrong person again, irritated, frustrated. But it was not any fault. It was my thing that I made into a thing. I made a bigger deal out of a small nothing into something again. And it's like, I got these things like, don't overreact. Relax, Mark, breathe. It's like I have all these notes on myself on stoicism, how to be stoic, unwavered, pure, authentic. I need to be more of my true qualities and virtues and beauties. I need to teach myself to be a better me, to be a better me, to let go, to shine the light that I know, and on I go. It's quite interesting that this is all in there, and I wrote that 3 to 4 or 5 years ago. Like in the time I was going through that, I was then learning to fix myself, and that's proof of it. So yeah, I sent her a picture that I found in there of her, and it was old, from 4 years ago, 2020, and it says "I love you" on the back from her to me. I sent her that picture and a reminder of the possible hike, picnic, and question-answer game that we could play to better understand her feelings, because that's what she says she wants. She says, the number one thing I want is to be heard and seen for my authentic self. I was like, great. Wouldn't that be great if you could just actually tell the truth? That would be fucking lovely. Thanks for listening. More soon. Peace.